Good evening from the Tibet Center in South Orange, New Jersey. We will begin with prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the Samadhi, which examines the Dharmas, called profound illumination. At the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, "How should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge?" And Avalokiteshvara answered, "Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing.
They are not impure
or
nor
pure.
They neither decrease nor increase.
Therefore,
since there is emptiness, there is no form,
no feeling, no
discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness,
no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. Therefore, they are not to age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the Bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge, and since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear, they transcend falsity and pass beyond the bosses of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awakens to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering
to be known as truth, for there is no deception.
In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed.
Tayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisattva. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge.
Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the
Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying,
Good,
O son of noble family.
profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara,
that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One.
Generating bodhicitta. With the wish
To free all beings, I shall always go for refuge
to the
to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world.
So, I don't know what you've been doing. Do you recite Om Mani Padme Hum, or do you?
No.
Okay.
It's up to you. You're the boss.
So,
You decide.
I've recently returned to America. It's good to be back. It's very nice to see you.
We miss you.
And it's colder here than it was in India.
Really?
And
It's
it's interesting. India is a country that is becoming more and more modern, and people who would never have had access to cars or motorcycles now do, and that's wonderful. However, the cities are getting more and more polluted, more and more congested, and I was just in New Delhi, and it's a city that I really, really love, but it's so polluted. The pollution level on the phone, it says 500, but apparently 500 is as high as the phone goes. And according to the New York Times, it was at 1,600 or 700. And we all had sore throats, and we all felt uncomfortable and not well. And I sort of feel that that's something, as we discuss what I've been discussing, this beyond religion, ethics for a whole world. And His Holiness talks about the importance of developing compassion, developing some feeling of responsibility towards others, and uplifting others out of a recognition that they are like us, seeking happiness and seeking to be free of suffering, and that we are so dependent on them. But we, as His Holiness says, we also need discernment. And that discernment has to be the intelligent method by which we actually apply this feeling of responsibility towards others. And so when you think of a society that is evolving materially, it's really important that those who have responsibilities within that society um, apply that discernment and really enable that evolution, societal evolution, to actually be beneficial and not harmful. Um, and so I make that statement, which is sort of a political statement. But what His Holiness is really teaching us is that though we can take such stands, what's really important is how we apply it to ourselves and to our own behavior. Um, the I hear an echo. Uh, we have to get him headphones. Should we get him? Sorry?
He has AirPods in. I don't know why he's not using them.
Oh,
Maybe your guy can supply some.
my guy?
Send them to the guy's store for some. Set up earphones, in other words.
Yeah, I know. I think that they're available in many places.
I have some.
No, we want to keep business with him.
Okay.
He's a neighbor, he's right here.
So,
His daughter's right
I don't know really where to begin. I know that you've gone in all sorts of directions.
here. Yeah. Can you tell us a little about your trips in India, what you did meeting with Rinpoche, meeting the lamas at Rato, Marianne, everybody? Like recap for a few minutes.
Okay. So, I went to India, gosh, it was quite a while ago.
September.
I was invited to attend a conference in New Delhi that the Indian government was hosting. It was on how Buddhism might how a Buddhist attitude might help the what would you call it, the press and the media in developing sort of more responsibility or cultivating a more responsible society. And it was on how to engage media in assuming a more ethically responsible way. And I was asked to chair one of the boards, and so that's why I went to India. And then on the eve of my departure from here, I received a message from the person who's in charge of this new project called the Dalai Lama Center for Tibetan and Indian Ancient Wisdom. And it's being built in Bodh Gaya. It's a new institution being built on land that Lama Zopa Rinpoche offered to His Holiness, and it was where the Maitreya statue that Lama Yeshe had wished to have built was going to be built. And this was a sort of dream of Lama Yeshe's that Lama Zopa really assumed responsibility to accomplish. And it was to build a very, very tall statue of the future Buddha, the Buddha Shakyamuni, the Buddha of 2,500 years ago, was the fourth Buddha in this time, in this, what would you call, era. And Maitreya is the fifth Buddha, who will come at a time when sentient beings are in particular need for the sort of resuscitation of the Dharma. And so this dream of Lama Yeshe's, Lama Yeshe was the teacher of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and an influential teacher for Westerners soon after His Holiness and Tibetans came out of Tibet in 1959. So this was his dream, and Lama, after he passed away, Lama Zopa Rinpoche assumed the responsibility of working towards accomplishing it. A large statue of Maitreya exists there, but not the, I think it was like 100-meter tall Maitreya statue that was planned. I think that Lama Yeshe even wished that planes that might land in a future airport in Gaia would circumambulate the statue. And now there is an airport with flights, direct flights to Gaia, but there is not the statue. However, there will be this institute, the Dalai Lama Center for Tibetan and Indian Ancient Wisdom, which the cornerstone of which was the ceremony for its laying took place in, I think it was January of 2023.
Good.
And at that time, I was asked to participate in this. And so just as I was leaving for India, I got a message from the head of the project saying, you are meant to be part of this, and there is going to be a meeting in Bodh Gaya on the 15th of September, and it's too bad you can't be there. And I thought, I can be there. My meeting in Delhi is on the 11th of September, and so I went to Bodh Gaya. And it was wonderful. To go to Bodh Gaya is just an extraordinary opportunity to be touched, moved, blessed by the environment, the place where the Buddha attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. 2000, I don't know, we say 500 years ago, but 600 years ago, 2,600 years ago, around then. And I've been many, many times. However, usually I've been at times when His Holiness the Dalai Lama is teaching, and there are thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people there, and the place is charged, is just bustling with people. It's just there's a wonderful atmosphere of all these people coming together to attend His Holiness's teachings. And when you go circumambulate the tree under which the Buddha sat as he meditated towards his attainment of enlightenment. Now, the tree that exists there is not the actual tree. The actual tree, a sapling was taken to and planted in Sri Lanka, and then the tree at some point in history was destroyed, and so eventually they brought a sapling back from Sri Lanka from the tree and planted it there. And so this is maybe the grandson of the, or granddaughter of the tree under which the Buddha sat. I've been to Sri Lanka, to Anuradhapura, where the mother tree sits, and it's very moving because it's an old tree with these branches that go off in different directions, and the branches are held up by like crutches.
Yeah.
And this tree also, if you look, it's being held up. So usually there are crowds, and as in the evening after His Holiness's teachings, there'll be the pathway around the stupa and the tree is thick with people. You move. It's sort of like a wave of people going around the stupa, and you have three circumambulations you can do: the outer large one, and then the medium one, and then the one right around the temple that is erected right next to the tree. And then within the temple is a statue which is said to have been made by some mythical sculptor at the time of the Buddha. And it's a statue of the Buddha when he was 16 years old, actually before he attained enlightenment. And so that's the story. That's this very precious statue that is there. And when His Holiness is teaching, it's virtually impossible to get into the temple and to receive the blessings of this really extraordinary statue. But when we went in September, you could walk in. There were some pilgrims from different Buddhist countries. There were Thai Buddhists, and there were Korean Buddhists, and there were Vietnamese Buddhists, all lining up and all doing their own particular acts of respect to the Buddha, and many Sri Lankans. And there were, sadly, the Indian Buddhists who lived there seem to be more sort of, it's a sad situation, but many of the Indian Buddhists are there hoping to receive alms, while these other Buddhists who come from afar are, well, they're actually happy to distribute alms. So it was very nice to be there at a peaceful, quiet time, and I went to visit the site where the new institute is being built, and it's going to be an enormous, I don't know, like a big donut of glass, air-conditioned, super modern, and efficient. 3 stories high. There will be a library, there will be a museum, and then there will be classrooms, and so those are the 3 parts of it. And it will be devoted to teaching secular ethics. It will be devoted to preserving and working at distributing or conveying the ancient teachings of India, Buddhist and non-Buddhist, teachings that His Holiness often says come from India, went to Tibet, were studied, were mastered, were commented upon by Tibetan scholars, and have now been brought back to India. And as His Holiness says, we Tibetans are your students. We are your chelas. We are your disciples. But we're very good disciples, says His Holiness. We actually preserved all this, and we are now the masters of this knowledge, and we are now bringing it back to you. And so this institute is really devoted to doing just that. So that's it's being formed, it's being built, it's being what will actually be taught and what will actually happen within it is being developed right now.
And you're part of it.
I'm part of it. My last task was to try to find a graphic designer who would work on a logo. And the logo shouldn't be just, one of the 8 auspicious signs or something sort of typically Buddhist. It should go beyond Buddhism, because it's to be the ancient Tibetan and Indian ancient wisdom. And so we shall see what the logo becomes, but the institute is being built and the curriculum is being formed or created. So that was my first, beyond Delhi, that was my first stop.
The monasteries are participating in this, like Joy Pung and all the monasteries, they supply scholars and things, I guess so, I mean, who knows?
Sure. I'm sure that all, the head of the institute is the former abbot of Serame Monastery, Geshe Tashi Tsering, and I'm sure that his right hand is a retired professor from the Buddhist Institute of Highest, the Tibetan Institute of Higher Learning in Sarnath, which is a university. And so between the monasteries, academic institutions, it's going to...
Good news. Very good news.
So, but it's definitely in being formed. It's being built.
It has the blessing of the Indian government, or the cooperation.
It definitely has.
They don't bless the
blessing of
government.
the-
So hard to see again.
How are you? Good to see you. You have a throne awaiting you right here in the corner.
Some people's available after class.
So that was, I suppose Delhi was the first stop and that was the second stop. And though we were really dealing with getting the architect, the contractor, our local team of engineers all in harmony with each other, it was just lovely to be in Bodh Gaya and to be able to go to the stupa and walk
Blessed to
around.
have that job.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
timeless.
So
stamp.
then I went back to Delhi and went up to Dharamsala. And in Dharamsala, His Holiness gave a teaching on the 3 principal aspects of the path. And that was also wonderful because he had, as we know, he had recently been in America where he had a knee replacement surgery. And upon his, that's a difficult thing for anyone, and was surely very hard for someone 89 years old. And now when I say that, I should say that we view His Holiness as being an enlightened being who is manifesting sort of normal challenges, because the only way in which we can help others, the only way in which we can inspire, the only way that we can sort of lead others is by example, is by doing it, is by our own actions. And so His Holiness, if we, from one point of view, view His Holiness as fully enlightened, we also recognize that His Holiness is going through the steps of sort of normal human life and normal human life's challenges as a way of our seeing how we have to act and the work that we have to do in order to attain enlightenment. And I think it's important for us to realize that the process, I mean, if we are viewing the Buddhist path as Buddhists, the process that we are engaged in of working towards enlightenment is a really long one. It's and it's not one to say, oh, the attainment of enlightenment is so far away that I really don't need to worry about it. No, on the contrary, it's a long one. However, it's one that we have to make effort towards day by day, moment by moment. The only way that we proceed is by how we behave, moment by moment, day by day, month by month, and year by year. That is what keeps us on the path towards actually being able to continue our practice into the next life and into the life after that, etc. And so His Holiness's manifestation of the challenges, the weaknesses, the pain, the effort, the perseverance that he shows is really to inspire us. And so after his operation, it took a good month or so, apparently, to feel, to regain strength upon his return to India, to regain the strength to teach with the authority and the enthusiasm that I was fortunate enough to witness when I was there as he taught us the three principal aspects of the path. The three principal aspects, the first being what we often refer to as renunciation, our renouncing our preoccupation with the affairs of this life, our renouncing our preoccupation with cyclic existence altogether. So that is the first step of a spiritual path, is not being not being involved with or concerned with or in having not having our priority, our main aim be the affairs of this life, but aiming towards a future life so that we can continue to practice into the future. And that's really the sort of lowest level of what we call renunciation. We have to work not just towards a future life, but towards the attainment of freedom from cyclic existence altogether. So that's renunciation. That's the first of the three principal aspects. And then the second one is cultivating compassion, responsibility for others, and the determination to actually attain enlightenment in order to act upon that compassion. So bodhicitta. And then the third is right view, or the realization of emptiness. So His Holiness talked about these three principal aspects of the path to enlightenment. So I was fortunate enough to receive that teaching, and then there was a long life ceremony for His Holiness, and then I went back to Delhi, and there's another project that I'm involved with, which is creating a sort of umbrella university that all our monasteries can be encompassed by, so that the monks who are studying in these monasteries can be accredited, can have their scholarship, their studies recognized, acknowledged, and they can receive certificates that will be recognized within academic institutions throughout the world. And Ahmedabad University, the Vice Chancellor or the President of Ahmedabad University, has been working with us at developing this. And so I went to Ahmedabad to work with him and with the former abbot of Gyume Monastery and his assistant, and the former Secretary of Higher Education of the Government of India. We all worked together to create a 5-year plan for this what we're calling the Buddhist Institute, which will hopefully eventually become the Buddhist University. And that was wonderful. We moved that project along. And then I went down to Mungod, to Ratu, to the monastery that I joined. It's nearly 40 years. It's about to be 40 years. And it was lovely to be there. And there are many new monks. The new abbot is working towards increasing the size of the monastery. And we have many little monks, and they walk around in their robes, confident and happy. I was happy to see them. I sort of feel that this is a good next step for the monastery. Since Ratu is a sort of monastic learning institution, it's very important that we have young monks who continue the tradition. You have to have a flow of monks so that they go up through the different classes towards becoming geshes. If you don't have that, then it becomes stagnant. And so I was happy to see that was something I really wasn't able to do much towards. I tried, I asked that our elder monks visit the areas along the border between India and Tibet, on the Indian side, which are culturally very Tibetan, and most of the young monks who join the monastery today come from those areas. And so I suggested that our elder monks go and visit the families of our young monks and develop a rapport so that the people in those areas would develop a confidence to send their children to the monastery. And I actually, towards the end of my tenure, went up and visited some of the families up in Arunachal Pradesh. In the area where, when His Holiness came into exile in 1959, that's where he came. And it's the place where the 6th Dalai Lama was born. And the 6th Dalai Lama went from there to Lhasa to assume his place as Dalai Lama. So it was very much Tibetan culturally, and but is now within India. So yes, most of our monks come from there, our young monks. And as I say, I'm happy to see that there are more young monks, and that they are going to, we send our young monks to the Loseling school. Loseling is the big monastery next to us that we have a certain relationship with. And then we go to the great teachers of Loseling to study, and we go to the Loseling debating court to debate. And so our young monks are going to the Loseling school too, because we don't have enough monks to really create our own school and have our own academic organizations all by ourselves. We need the support of Loseling, and we have it, and that's very helpful to us. We have our own teachers, and we have our own classes, but we have our own debates, but we also are part of and welcomed within the Loseling academic system. So I spent about a week there, and it was lovely. It was very nice to be there, and it was nice to see the place doing well, and my old cook, who hasn't been well, is over his radiation and chemotherapy for some kind of throat cancer, and seemed to be well, and took very good care of me. Yeah. And yeah, he came to work for me at Ratu about 35 years ago. And his children were tiny little, and now they're married and have children. And so life goes on. Then I went to Hyderabad, and there's a former Director General of Police who is a Buddhist. He had been an agnostic, he told me, and he became interested in the teachings of Krishnamurti, and then he began to search for the influences on Krishnamurti, and he found that they were Buddhist, and so he began studying Buddhism, and then he discovered that Hyderabad is, I don't know what the state is now, Telangana, used to be part of Andhra Pradesh. It's a whole area just north of Tamil Nadu, which Madras is the capital of. And it was a totally Buddhist area. There is, so the state of Andhra Pradesh was cut in half a few years ago, and half of it is called Telangana, and the other half is called Andhra Pradesh. The Andhra Pradesh half, the capital is Amaravati. Now, Amaravati is famous as a Buddhist site, and we consider Amaravati to be the place where, when the Buddha was bestowing the Heart Sutra, teaching the Heart Sutra on Vulture's Peak in Rajgir, he manifested in this tantric form of Kalachakra in Amaravati. And the king of Shambhala had arrived on his, I think, wooden or stone bird or something, some, special vehicle, and received the Kalachakra initiation from the Buddha, and then went back to Shambhala, this mythical, or it's considered to be a real place of a more, it's part of the world, but it's more subtle than this. He went back there and made the practice of Kalachakra, the Kalachakra Tantra. These are Mr. and Mrs. Kalachakra, the Lord and Lady Kalachakra. He made the practice of Kalachakra the state practice of Shambhala. But the place where this happened was Amaravati, and that's the capital of this Andhra Pradesh. So I went to the other half of Andhra Pradesh, which is now called Telangana, and the capital of that is Hyderabad. And now this is where Nagarjuna came from. Nagarjuna, sorry, yeah, the place where Nagarjuna lived. The Indian government decided to put a dam and create a big lake. And so they took the remnants of Nagarjuna's monastery and put them on the top of a mountain. And then when it was created into a lake, the top of the mountain became an island in the middle of a lake. And so the Nagarjuna Saga is the lake, and Nagarjuna Konda is the island where they've recreated the abode of, or the. Yeah, we went. We've been. Yeah. So, but this is to say that the whole area was very Buddhist. It was importantly Buddhist, dating back to the time of the Buddha. Now, historically, there is no record of the Buddha having gone there. This was a manifestation as he was teaching the Heart Sutra or the Wisdom Sutras. We recite the Heart Sutra. There are different what are called Wisdom Sutras, and it is said that the Buddha taught and different people heard it in different ways. So you have the Heart Sutra, you have the Sutra in 8,000 verses, you have the Sutra in 20,000 verses, you have the Sutra, the Wisdom Sutra in 100,000 verses. You have different Wisdom Sutras. This is the sort of most pithy. This Director General of Police, recognizing that this place had been Buddhist and recognizing the value and the logic in Buddhism, decided to put his efforts into resuscitating Buddhist practice in the area. And so Hyderabad is made up of, there were actually two cities. There's Secunderabad and there's Hyderabad. And but they're all one big city. On the very top of a mountain that overlooks the whole of Secunderabad and Hyderabad, this guy got some land and put a Buddhist temple on it, invited His Holiness to inaugurate it. There's a little group of monks from northeastern India who were inspired or taught by Sri Lankan monks. It's very much in the Theravadan tradition. And anyway, they invited me to go there and talk. And it was very inspiring because everyone was Indian. It was not Tibetan, and it was local people from there. Yes. Yes. So that was my time there, and then I went back to friends in Ahmedabad, whom I wasn't able to see because I was very busy with the university project, invited me back to Ahmedabad, where I spent a few days. And they have my friend's mother, my friend's father had recently died. Recently, this was like 60 years ago or something, died. And the mother, a young widow, quite wealthy, her sister-in-law was an architect who said, you have to build a house. There's this Swiss architect who's up designing a city in the north. You should invite him to come and design your house. And the Swiss architect was Le Corbusier. And so he came down and designed this sort of modern structure. And I had the fortune of staying in the house and photographing it, which was wonderful.
Oh, you brought your camera? Oh.
Yes, I brought my camera. And did a little story on what is the emptiness. There was an empty swimming pool, and I thought, is that emptiness?
Yeah, you did a whole essay on this.
So that was Ahmedabad. And then I went back to Delhi and came back here.
I've heard Delhi was pretty tough in November when they burned their fields and stuff.
So they've
In
always
addition
been,
to all the other things.
they've always been burning their fields, and then there was Diwali, and Diwali everyone sets off firecrackers, and they made it a rule that you can't do so, but no one seems to pay any attention to the rule. Hello, buddy.
He's around somewhere. Oh, there he is over there.
Oh, what's this?
That's a snake, be careful. No. You could do these things, hop cities, because you go by plane now instead of waiting for the train and then this. It's more
Yes,
efficient.
I have a memory of being in someplace in Uttar Pradesh with Chowdhury Boshe, and we wanted to take the train from there to Varanasi. And I went to the station, and the station master said, "Your train is 16 hours late now." And I said, "Well, what do you mean now? What does that mean?" He said, "Well, we don't know how late it will be by the time it gets here. It might be much later." I had never even
Interesting
thought
math,
of
yeah. Flexible metric.
Yes. So, yes, planes are really wonderful. India has this airline called Indigo, and it's all blue in addition to being how you go places in India. And it's very efficient. It's punctual, reasonably punctual, and it's a no frills airline. And so, yes, one can get around the country really efficiently and easily. So then, on my way back, I went to see my father in Italy and walked around Rome with my camera and took little stops in churches. And I was sitting in a little church. I've walked by it many times, and the door was never open, and it was open, so I walked in. And there were two nuns, one with a guitar and one at the organ, and they were getting ready for a service, and then there was a woman sitting sort of in the back next to where I was sitting, and then another woman came in, and suddenly a man came sort of rushing in, and I just heard him. He went back and he went into a door, and then he appeared 3 minutes later, all in his priest outfit, in the front, and he began Mass, and it was a full Mass, and it was lovely. Another woman came, so there were 3 women here. There were the 2 nuns, and there was me, and it was a total Mass with songs and psalms and everything. And one of the 2 nuns was Indian, and the other was clearly American. She got up and read one of the lessons in Italiano, and and it was all quite wonderful, because it was sort of like us in this beautiful old church. And there were 3 people. I mean, I'm not counting myself, but I should. I was there, and I'm a people. But it was a Mass that was being done for these 3 women and the 2 nuns and the priest. And you realize could one say, the struggle, the challenge that is faced as we try to maintain these spiritual traditions, and the fact that we're sitting around here this evening discussing and thinking about secular ethics and how to be a better, more responsible person is quite wonderful. And
Against the odds.
And you walk around Rome, and there's so many churches. And what's good is that they do open them. It's not like, I think here it's less and less do you find.
That's right, they're all locked up.
They're all locked up.
St. Anthony's,
They're,
it's always open.
And you can go in and you can just sit, and that's sort of, there are those churches that have the Caravaggios, and then you have many people who go, there'll be this extraordinary Caravaggio, and you have to put a coin into the thing for the light to go on so you can see it.
I love it. I love it.
And but that's always sort of a little surprise. You go in and you get to see this really remarkable painting. But just to sit in these churches is wonderful.
And they're old, and they're all hundreds of years old.
Yes, they're all old, and yes, they're old, and they're beautiful. They really, you sit there, and it makes no difference what your religion is. You can sit there and contemplate whatever you want to in a place that just uplifts you, that makes you feel a certain wonder.
Created that art.
So to me, those churches, it's a special place. And then when you have people in the churches who really are there, I mean, we may differ in our belief systems, but we're all, the people who actually go and spend a little moment in a church Mass on a Thursday, they're there because they really care, because they
Inspiring.
So to me, that's quite wonderful to taste and to.
And now there's a Tibetan Buddhist temple in monastery, a temple, a learning center in your father's neighborhood in Rome.
It's been there, I think, for a while.
I didn't know that. Living.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he's going to be the abbot there. No, he's here.
So and then I flew back here, and So that was my trip.
Collapsed.
Thank you for indulging me.
You're doing a lot of work that you're not getting acknowledged about. But this diplomatic work you do in addition to teaching here, that's something that people should recognize, not fair. I propose Nikki runs for president.
So,
A salute. Any names, Darren?
No name.
I want names.
so we shall read the Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels.
From Jane, sorry.
Sorry?
Jane had one, yeah.
So what did you say, Darren?
There's one name from Jane.
Yeah, I got the email. Hold on.
Sorry.
Don't fall on your sword. Came in an email, right?
Yeah. Jane. Oh boy. We'll have to do it on Wednesday. I can't find it. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, sorry. I can't find it.
I can't either in a while. But
Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to
the
the
omniscient
Omniscient.
one.
Thus
Thus
the
the
Buddha,
Buddha,
Bhagavad, Tathagata, Arhat,
Samyak
Sambuddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavad teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma which is taught by the Bhagavad is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. the protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue,
I prostrate to the Tathagata,
pure the cause of freedom from passion,
virtuous liberating from the lower realms.
This
This
alone
alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace.
having
Been
been
liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable.
having faith in these inconceivable,
Therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm.
read the prayer for swift return. Exalted wisdom of all victories,
Gathered in a drop,
sole refuge manifest in the
form
form
of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Lozang to Wang Doje Chang,
Please bear witness here today
that our prayers may be fulfilled.
we
We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers. Lord of speech of the Victor Lozang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice.
Though holding
The
the
commitment,
I
I
will
will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence's end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by Bodhicitta, drawn by 7 steeds.
having reached the far limits of scholarship,
religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holders of the sage's teachings and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Lozang Tenpei, magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala Karmayama and Sri Mata Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors. May you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face.